Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Friday, January 20th. I'm your host, Kate Walker. We're now into our first significant snowfall of the season across parts of Atlantic Canada today. Here in Halifax, a snowfall warning has been in effect, and all schools are closed in the Halifax Regional Centre for Education. Schools are also closed in the Annapolis Valley, South Shore, Tri-County, and Chignecto Central Regional Education Centre. A winter parking ban will be in effect overnight between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. Our weather specialist, Alistair Alders, is breaking down for us what we've seen so far and what's to come.
Thanks, Kate. Well, what some described as the snow drought in Halifax and parts of southwestern Nova Scotia officially came to an end today. Low pressure system sliding to the south of us brought widespread snow into the province. And I'm not going to show the radar imagery because it did go down late this morning, so we had some poor coverage throughout the day. But we did see snow arrive in the Yarmouth area. Pre-dawn, it reached Halifax around 8 o'clock and has continued to move eastward throughout the day. We had reports of 15 to 20 plus centimeters on the South Shore early this afternoon, so it has been piling up there. Let's take a look at the weather timeline to see how the rest of the system plays out. You can see we have periods of snow across the province this evening, and that activity will start to wind down as we go later this evening into the overnight hours. However, we do have northerly winds that will continue to blow tonight in through Saturday, so we could see some onshore flurries that do set up for Saturday. So the main energy moves off to the east by Saturday morning, but we do have onshore flurries in the system's wake, mainly for the northern and eastern half of the province and Cape Breton. Let's take a look at the additional snowfall forecast. So this is through this evening and through Saturday afternoon. And you can see generally for western Nova Scotia, a trace to up to 5 centimeters. It's over eastern Nova Scotia where the snow started a bit later and will end last where we see more snow there. 5 to as much as 10 centimeters. Parts of Cape Breton could see up to 15 centimeters by the time the system has pulled out later in the day on Saturday. In terms of the wind forecast, winds will shift over to the north, continuing to gust 40 up to 70 kilometers per hour as we go throughout this evening, overnight, and throughout the day on our Saturday. So we do have concerns that we will continue to see reduced visibility if you do have to travel tonight. And even tomorrow, if you're caught in some of those what may be snow squalls or heavier bands of flurries, we could see reduced visibility. But there is some sunshine in the forecast later this weekend, and we'll break down what you can expect here in Halifax in just a bit. Kate.
And Alistair will be back in the weather section with your Halifax weekend forecast. We're hearing for the first time from the brother of one of the men involved in plotting a mass murder at the Halifax shopping centre in 2015. James Gamble killed himself before police were able to arrest him for being involved in the conspiracy. SaltWire's Chris Lambie spoke with his family, who say they were blindsided by the plot and never saw it coming.
John Cody remembers the last Christmas he spent with his little brother. James Gamble, 10 years his junior, had finished high school, but was still living at home.
I'd always come back Christmas time, and we'd pretty much just stay in the bedroom all day playing video games, watching movies, listening to music, all the normal stuff, brothers would probably do together.
Fast forward to 2014. Cody remembers being happy that his little brother, who was bullied as a child, was socializing more.
I mean, he started going to the bars, start getting out, start having more friends. He was telling me he was hanging around with some more girls, and I was proud of him because he's finally kind of getting out of his shell a little bit.
That Christmas, Gamble seemed to be coming into his own as a young adult. But he had a secret. Gamble had started to become a school shooting enthusiast and had taken up with like-minded souls to plot a mass murder at Halifax Shopping Centre on Valentine's Day 2015.
There was no signs, right? Like, we didn't have any kind of inclination at that moment that anything even close to that was even being discussed. That wasn't even a thought. There wasn't anything coming from him suggesting anything or suggestive information that might have made me question something, that might have raised an eyebrow. It was nothing. It was regular talk, regular life.
The plot never got off the ground. Someone tipped off the authorities about their plans to shoot as many people as possible in the mall food court before killing themselves. Police arrested Gamble's co-conspirators at Halifax Stanfield International Airport on February 13, 2015. Gamble killed himself after police surrounded his family's Timberley home when they learned about the mass murder plot that involved first killing his parents, then using a rifle and shotgun and Molotov cocktails to murder strangers in the mall food court. His brother wonders if the abundance of screen time, playing violent video games, and social media that Gamble consumed took him down the wrong path.
You have to instill with them everything that life can give you, because if you don't, it can definitely lead them down paths that you don't want them to go.
Nearly 8 years since his brother's death, Cody is urging parents to closely monitor their children's internet use to guard against similar tragedies. In Timberley, I'm Chris Lambie for the SaltWire Network.
A happy ending to a sad story. St. Augustine's, an Anglican church with a small congregation on the Purcell's Cove Road, has closed its doors, with years full of history inside.
They were planted in the Dingle by St. Luke's Anglican Church in the south end of Halifax in 1895. And they were in that stone chapel in the Dingle until 1964. And they were very, very active until just maybe the last dozen years or so, when they really realized that they needed to do something different.
But it's been a bittersweet goodbye as they've taken the $1.5 million from the sale of the church and their investment portfolio to give back to the community. They're now donating it through the Halifax area organizations and high schools with ties to the congregation.
We will be at JL Ilsley presenting a $150,000 scholarship amount towards their scholarship fund for their high school students who will have both financial need and academic excellence. And they will be attending university or community college in Nova Scotia.
The JL donation will be one of the last as they prepare to wrap up their finances and amalgamate with the St. James Anglican at the Rotary. It's time now for another edition of Wine of the Week with SaltWire sommelier Mark DeWolf. If you love Lebanese dishes such as falafel, hummus, and tabbouleh, Mark has Lebanese wine to pair that you might also love too.
So we may associate wine with the Mediterranean, but I'm going to guess we rarely head over to the eastern extreme in countries such as Israel, Lebanon, and Turkey, but all have varying traditions of viticulture and winemaking. You know, sometimes this has been mitigated by religion, other times by political instability and war, but there's no denying there's a rich history of viticulture here. And some of the best of this part of the world come from the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. You know, they have a long history of making wine, and I kind of became familiar with them in the 1990s when I was serving Chateau Moussard made by a winemaker called Gaston Hochar, who became famous for crafting Bordeaux and Rhone-style red wines that had incredible flavors and were completely unique. Really world-class wines, and he did it in an environment that was tough to make wine, you know, with the challenges of war. But Moussard was not alone, and I want to introduce you to Chateau Kassara. So Kassara is the oldest winery in Lebanon, so it's been around for more than 150 years. And this wine that they produce, their Chateau Kassara Rouge, is based on Bordeaux red wine grapes, but it is absolutely stunning. You know, it delivers all the qualities we want out of Bordeaux in terms of cassis and a bit of cedar, but it delivers a distinctive Lebanese character too, which I find is leathery, sometimes a little gun-smoky character, and some savory notes. And, you know, this wine, which is at select NSLC stores, is about $40. But this is a wine you can enjoy now with lamb cooked with, like, olives. You can lay this wine down for 20 to 30 years. So in terms of a wine that's going to impress guests, but is completely unique, this is a great wine. And a wine for collecting. If you want to enjoy spectacular wine in a couple of decades, this is a great value. So even at $40, this is great wine and great value. So go outside of your comfort zone and explore the Mediterranean.
For wine tips, recipes, and more, head to the Wine and Dine section of saltwire.com. It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with SaltWire columnist Katie Jean about headstones that were mysteriously taken from a veteran cemetery on the peninsula to a property in Cow Bay.
And this journey that's brought you to the stories of our community. You were telling me earlier this week that there was a story that you were working on that's about to be published that really kind of, well, it's a bizarre journey. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, where the story idea came from before we talk about what it is.
Well, actually, it was from Twitter. A man named Chad contacted me, and he said that he had headstones that he found in his backyard. And he sent me some photos, and immediately I was intrigued. I love history, and I love cemeteries, and I love a mystery. And so he was like, would you like to write about it? And I said, of course I would. I was immediately invested. And so we met up and we kind of talked about the headstones, and we figured out at least some of them were from Fort Massey Cemetery, the Veterans Cemetery in Halifax. Now, what's weird is they're very large stones, and again, the cemetery is Halifax, Queen Street, South Street, and he's in Cow Bay, a little far away. And so we were trying to figure out like how these headstones got to his backyard and if they were all from the same cemetery. It's kind of where we started. We didn't know if these were just random headstones. So I went to his property to actually see the headstones because I wasn't really getting how there was just headstones in someone's backyard.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of saltwire.com. Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
Here's the final part of my three-part series with Newfoundland and Labrador soccer striker Holly O'Neill. Holly recently signed a pro contract to play soccer in Iceland, and she's ready to make the trip. How quickly could this move to Iceland take place? You know, you've signed on the dotted line. You're now a professional player, part of IBV. How quickly could you be there?
Very fast. So they want it to happen as fast as possible. They want me to start training with them. They want to get everybody in. So the plan right now is to try and get me there for the first week of February. We're going to do a bit of training, and then there's supposed to be a preseason trip in March to Spain, which would be nice.
What types of things do you know about where you're going to be going in Iceland, where you're going to be living, climate, the food, etc.? What do you know?
So what do I know? I know it's going to be really cold. So I got my warm winter jacket packed. I'm trying to think, what else do I know? I know that they eat a lot of seafood, so at least I'm used to that. What else is there? Oh, they got the puffins, so that'll be cool. I'm also used to the puffins. Yeah, lots of hiking, used to that as well. So I think I'll honestly feel pretty at home when I go there.
It almost sounds like a home away from home, seafood and puffins.
Yeah, seafood and puffins.
It seems like Holly's going to be very much at home in Iceland. In Halifax, I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now. To see what's coming up in the weekend forecast, we're going to check back in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders.
Hi again, Kate. Well, certainly was a snowy Friday in the Halifax area. The snow will be leaving us as we go through the overnight hours, and there is some sunshine to finally talk about in the weekend forecast. But this evening we'll have periods of snow. The snow will start to ease through the overnight hours to a chance of flurries. The temperature hovering around the freezing mark and likely near 0, -1 waking up on Saturday morning with cloudy skies and still a lingering chance of flurries. Now, that chance of flurries does diminish as we head through the afternoon. We may see some sunny breaks. I think the clouds will dominate, but don't be surprised if the sun does make an appearance and the temperature does fall throughout the day. We're down to about -2 by the afternoon. But Sunday, the pick of the weekend, looking beautiful with lots of sunshine and the temperature near +1. The active weather pattern is set to continue next week. I'm watching 2 storms. One arrives on Monday with snow changing to rain along with gusty winds, and another system on Thursday, likely very much the same with snow changing to rain and gusty winds. So the snowfall that we did receive today and tonight likely will be gone by this time next week. So if you like to do any outdoor activities in the snow, probably best that you do so this weekend. Take advantage because we will see significant melting next week. Have a great weekend. Kate.
Thank you, Alistair. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to saltwire.com. And you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here Monday.